How does non-alcoholic partying works?
So if you have like a shot, you'll get like the 250, 300% spike in dopamine, but then it goes down after 20 minutes. If you do another beer or another shot, actually your spikes in dopamine diminish. So you can never get back to the first drink. A cold plunge actually beats alcohol hands down. So a cold plunge gives you a 300% spike in dopamine. Like if you look at the graph, it's like a solid bar for like 2 hours or 3 hours.
Wow.
You come to our immersion party, everyone's like pumped because of dopamine. You can't replicate that with alcohol. So if I was starting from scratch, we're not trying to be like just completely mindlessly positive. Like there's a lot of things that are really terrible in this world, really affecting a lot of people at the moment. You can definitely do something to change your mood and your ability to make a positive impact.
How does non-alcoholic partying works in today's context? Because it's extremely challenging and an uphill battle for sure, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if you look at the history of like house and techno music, that's where it started off as non-alc. So,
but then it's like something else though.
Yeah, but a lot of these venues started off like not having like alcohol licenses, and they were just juice bars, and they would like party all night long. And then a lot of like where I come from in the UK, a lot of these like rave culture started out outdoors, started out in fields, in the countryside, country manners, all this kind of stuff. So I think like the history, there's a lot of like, I think the alcohol history of like dance music culture comes from when nightclubs started to get established, and people need to make money. And then obviously like alcohol being like an approved substance, like smoking, like that's the only way to make money. So that's kind of, so it's almost like when dance music needed to make money, then its association with like alcohol and smoking and stuff like that came in. At least for me. So like how I look at this now is like the general trends are, and we see this a lot, people are drinking less. So you have like two main categories of like people drinking less. You've got, I guess kind of people like me, like I was 40, like 2-3 weeks ago. People like me who like used to go out a lot, used to spend their money on like, drinks, food, like going out late. Maybe they want to take care of their health a little bit more. So like they're drinking less, but they don't want to like stop going out. And then we had this like new generation of like, let's say like kind of Gen Z crowd where they just never got into like a kind of alcohol culture. So like really like if you ask me kind of how does it work? It works by like meeting those two needs. Like I've got a bunch of mates who don't want to go out late at night but still want to party, still want to listen to good music, but mostly like are more comfortable waking up early than they are staying out late. And I've got a bunch of these like younger generation party goers who are, don't necessarily want to go out super late, don't necessarily have a lot of money to spend, but they want new experiences. So they like these, either the morning parties we do, or that they always appreciate when we put like non-alc options on the menu. And then I guess we've started to get this like third category kind of happening where because of our experience as like my experience as a non-drinker and like working with like people like Brendan at Boujee Botanicals, then when you start to make specific drinks for people who don't drink but want to stay out late, or people who, like drinks for like DJs or drinks for certain times of day, then we're like blending these like tea-based drinks that have got like active ingredients in them that are not caffeine-based, no alcohol, no sugar. So
Damn, I was thinking like tea, maybe caffeine, but
no.
non-caffeine.
So like the kind of like the complete opposite to like a Red Bull, I think. So like when I went to uni, there were these vodka nights. Like you would have like vodka, Red Bull, super cheap, and that's how like Red Bull kind of came up in the UK.
Yep.
We're trying to do the opposite. We're trying to have no alcohol, no sugar, no caffeine. If you do I did an event.
Is it something like a yerba mate or something?
Yerba mate's got caffeine in it. There's nothing against those things, but I think that once you have like an option, like as soon as we put options on our menus, options at our parties, people appreciate it. And at first I did it for me because I just wasn't seeing it. Even in like a lot of the venues we work at, it doesn't matter if it's like a nightclub like Thug Shop, HQ. It doesn't matter if it's like a Mandala Club or even we went to Air yesterday. Like the options for me, like there's always like an option that I'm seeking that's not on the menu, which is like no alcohol, no sugar, no caffeine. But I still want something from the drink. So Brendan and I have been making these 2 drinks. The blue one, which is like energizing, and then the red one, which is more like a chill out drink. But they've got active ingredients, and these ingredients are like scientifically proven to like do what you want them to. So
example.
So the blue drink is energizing, and basically I wanted the drink for DJing, like when I had to DJ maybe like later at night. So I wanted energizing. So we've got cordyceps.
Wow.
We've got the lion's mane for focus. It's got ginger, like kind of balances you out a little bit, stops you getting any jitters. It's got lemon balm. It's got a chrysanthemum tea base, which I wasn't necessarily sure about at the beginning, but it tastes great. And then all those ingredients, they kind of come together to kind of give you a lift. But then it's not like when you drink caffeine. So like you go to bed late at night and you can't sleep, you can still sleep. So we've been launching this at a few of our events, sponsoring some of the DJs. We just started putting it into Behind the Green Door.
Oh,
so
as an official product.
Yeah. So I would say like I really like it, but also other people are liking it, other DJs are liking it. So I gave a sample to this at W to James Silver, and he immediately wanted to get it into Green Door. So people like it. So it's like, it's real. It's not just like, I joke with people like, oh, do you want some mushroom tea? Because of like all the connotations about what people think a mushroom tea is. But our tea is like all these like very refined ingredients, very pure. We use these drops from these like Australian company called Life Cycle. Maybe one day we'll own our own supply chain, but they work.
Wild Pearl is not just like a event collective. It is also like working with Boujee Botanicals to come up with the drinks.
Yeah, so we have like a bit of a bigger mission. So the parties are super important. Parties are good to build community. Parties are good to get people together. Like, but really, like a bigger mission is I don't know. Like, I think bringing people together around like healthy behaviors is how you like live like a long and happy life.
Yes,
that's what I want to do. And I've always been into like music, like healthy lifestyles, like being active, stuff like that. So basically, like all of this is a complete accident. Like the kind of company as it is today. We were never supposed to be a company. We were just supposed to be a response to all the things that were happening in the pandemic and just losing connection. So like Wild Pearl really is supposed to most people feel good. Like that's the idea. And then over time we kind of figured out our way into a business model, and then figured out the things that we can do for our community that maybe is not existing elsewhere. But basically, like, it's for me, and it's for the things that I thought were missing. And then when other people have resonated with it, is when it's grown. So there's a bunch of things we do that, you know, people aren't interested in. That's fine. And there's a bunch of things that we do where people are like, oh, I'd never thought of that. Like, give me some more of that. Like, help. Like, oh, come and do this at my place.
Yeah.
So we do a lot, but it's basically in service of this like common mission. So that's how we make decisions.
I've saw a podcast that is called Upward Spiral. Yeah. And then they were saying, you were saying that early in your days when you were working in nightlife, when you were younger, but were you DJ, bartender, or how were you involved in the early days?
Everything. So I did a fine art degree. I did it in Birmingham, which is like the second largest city in the UK. And I worked in a nightclub. And the reason why I worked in a nightclub is because when I was like 17, 18, I was in this quite academic school in the UK. And when you're in academic schools in the UK, maybe it's the same here, like they pressure you to kind of take a certain path. And I just had this art teacher who was like a breath of fresh air. She's on our t-shirt. She's Mrs. G.
Wow.
So basically, Mrs. G came along and she was like, look, you guys are clever. Like, you can do anything you want. But do you really want to go and be an engineer? Do you really want to go and do like be a doctor? And we were like, you know what? Maybe not. She was the first person that came along and said, you can kind of do whatever you want. and she worked in a hacienda when she was at art school. So she had all these like fun stories about like meeting Eric Cantona and David Beckham in the VIP area.
Eric Cantona, the Joga Bonito days, man. Holy shit!
All
dude.
of she had like signed. She had like I think she had like
crazy, man.
She had like hundreds of signed posters of Eric Cantona. I think she ran out of them before she came to our school. But in her previous school, she used to give it to people for good behavior, like a signed Eric Cantona poster. So she was great. So I just took her advice. I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to go and be an engineer. I don't like being told what to do, and I don't really want to like. I was okay at maths, but like having maths that involved in my day-to-day job was not what I wanted to do. So I went to art school in Birmingham. My friend Ed went to do design in London, and then my friend Alex went to do design in Brighton. And it kind of changed like the trajectory of all three of us. Like Ed's now he's lived in Berlin for like 12 years, DJs at the Berghain and Panorama Bar and all around the world. Like one of my best mates. Alex founded It's Nice That, which is like a design community. It has had huge impact on like design like around the world. And then I kind of stuck in my corporate career for 15 years, and that brought me out here. So I'm kind of like the earliest on of all three of us in like doing this full time. But I think when you have like an inspirational teacher, it kind of sends you on a different path.
What was that corporate job that you're working? Are you doing like recruitment or something?
It was recruitment. And then for, I think the last like almost like 10 years, it was more like, it's called executive search. So like not necessarily a crazy difference, but the main difference is you're hiring people who are very senior. You're maybe doing like 3 or 4 projects a year, and you get paid up front for doing the work. So it's more like a consulting service. So the work is more involved, more research-based, like a lot more like reporting, and you have to be really organized. So it taught me a lot. It taught me like how to really understand our clients' businesses. It gave me a lot of like, I was basically interviewing all these like very senior people all day, every day.
So it's like company A wants to hire a new CEO, then you need to do a background search on that guy, something like that.
Even bigger than that. So some of it was like, our company needs to change direction. We think we need to do this. We've hired McKinsey or we've hired BCG to do a strategy review. Here's our direction. Like, how do we make it happen with people? So
then you're supposed to solve it.
Yeah.
Wow,
so we did this.
So general.
So we did this with Visa, like the credit card company. Well, I guess kind of more like payments network. Did this a lot with N2C here before they launched Fair Price Online. So I hired a bunch of like very senior people into the Fair Price and N2C business, and then did it for a bunch of brands around some of my old clients, people like Hotels.com and Skype and stuff like that. So really cool, like tech related work. I really like tech products, launching new businesses. So for a while it was great. Really interesting to kind of see and use all these services and know all the people behind it.
And how did it apply to Walpearl, like your expertise?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So for a long time I thought I was stuck. So I had this kind of fine art degree where I was doing everything I wanted. Then I moved to London and just wanted a sales job because it was a great way to just earn money without a qualification. When you have a fine art degree, you basically done a lot of fun stuff for 4 years, but you're not qualified to do many jobs. So recruitment was great from that perspective. And it was great to use my interest in tech and entrepreneurship, because when I was growing up, my dad was an entrepreneur. So it gave me all these skills around like managing clients, doing sales, like watching other people build their businesses, interviewing people, understanding how like businesses go through tech transformations. It was all like, really useful stuff, but I hadn't really applied it anywhere. So at the beginning, I didn't really know. As I said, Walpearl was not supposed to be a company. It was just like a side project that was supposed to keep me and my friends happy during the pandemic. But then when it did take off, I was like, okay, well, let's get organized, right? Let's like try and hire someone to run the studio. Let's try and do something that kind of gives back to the community. let's do something fun, which is like more like these radio stuff. Let's do some charitable stuff, which is the beach cleanups for a while. And then after a while, I was like, you know what? Actually, I really like this. Let's see how far we can go with it. So Andy and I just decided, like, okay, well, like, let's put some more of our money into it and invest in it and see where we can go. So we started like hiring people on retainer and then kind of grew from there. So I think looking back over the last year, because I've been in the business, I quit my day job last year.
Damn.
I think
it's a huge leap of faith, right?
Yeah, yes, but we also had 2 years of running the business. So
so this is third year already.
So it'll be third year in October. But people didn't know about us for the first 6 months because we just ran as a private space for our mates. So what has it given me? My corporate job. Well, yeah, basically gave me the confidence to know when something is working, the ability to find good people to like help build the business and around a kind of common mission. Gave me the ability to kind of like work in project teams. So like radio has been like a really interesting journey for us. Like we didn't get it right straight away. We've had different people join us to kind of expand it. And like now when I look at radio, I'm really proud of it because we've got the right people and it's like really organized. Like radio now comes out twice a week, maybe more in the future. But that's because we've got people like Jen and Leland and Effie involved, and then a team of people who are like doing the recordings. Actually, it's been a really good project to say, here are the things I'm not personally good at. Let's go and find some people who are great at those things. So it's been really good, like to prove that I know myself really well. I know the things I'm not good at, and I know the things I am good at. So like, let's set the team up for success. So that's been really great to see, because the success we've had with radio, we're now using for other parts of our business. So, like the drinks with Brendan makes the drinks. He keeps record of all the recipes, and when we do tastings, he knows like all the variations. If these things were left to me, it wouldn't work as smoothly at all.
So you are like the big picture guy, but then every department will have like a subject matter expert, something like that. I
don't know. I think, I would say no, because I'm more like the instigator. So I'm not like, I think big picture is like too far away from it. Like we're not big enough to have someone like me just like overseeing things and telling people what to do. I'm maybe the number one fan of the Wild Pearl. I'm like the one I build all the products for at the beginning. I figure out like, get people on board with what we do. And then when it's time to like roll it out, usually the rollout is quite complicated. We need people who can supply this kind of experience, these kind of products, this kind of venue. So I'm good at getting all those people on board. Like, let's go and do this. And then I get out of their way. And then my job is to come back in and then like keep making it better, keep pushing it forwards.
And whatever resources they need, you go and secure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm there at the beginning. I'm like helping with like the execution, but I shouldn't be involved too much because I'm not an expert in those areas. And then I try and support those experts, and because usually like experts are like in their lane doing stuff, I'm trying to help them like, okay, what's your problem? And quite often these experts are they don't know and like what sits outside their world. So I'm like, okay, well, let's take some of the problems we have with radio. With radio, we had me like saying we should do radio. We had Jen saying she really wanted to help with radio and she had all this experience. And then that was it at the beginning. We had a GoPro, we had a Tascam, and then we booked some great DJs. We recorded 11 like these, we called them live radio parties. So we had people in the room in the first studio, and it was great, but it was all a mess because we didn't have anything sorted. So we had this. How do
you even tackle this copyright issue on YouTube, man?
We didn't even know. So I think that's the great thing about us is that we just do it for us. We don't really care about like monetizing it, and because we're like so naive we start somewhere, and we figure out all the problems like over here. So I think that's how a lot of startups are run. And I think that's a great way, because I think if you told me in 2022, like October, here's how long radio is going to take, here's how much you're going to spend on it, and here's the payback that you're going to see, we definitely wouldn't have done it. It makes no sense. I'm sat here having worked through all the problems that came to us at each point, and some of the problems were so painful we had to basically stop for 6 months, because we were like, we need to sort people, back-end systems, and we need to pay for all this editing, we need to find out all this other things that we don't know. So I'm glad we took that 6 months off, because it just helped us out.
Recalibrate.
Yeah, completely. So, and there's no problem with that. So if I'm sat here, like almost 2 years later from starting radio, like I've got no regrets at all. Like radio is like one of the most important things we do. It's a really fun thing to do. And I'm really looking forward to like expanding radio. And I think it's going to change. It's like starting to change like the opportunities that are given to the people who are in the team already. So I'm just like, let's just keep going with this, because I'm hoping it's going to give everyone lots more opportunities, both the people we have on the show, the promoters who like send their DJs our way when they're here, as well as the scene here, as well as our own team. I just want it to give people a lot of opportunities. So it's really fun.
Like, for example, if a DJ shows up with a DJ mix, let's just say 1 hour, 30 songs, and then out of the 30 songs, right, 15, right, are copyright blocked. YouTube, there are certain kind of copyright is just no monetization. Certain kind is no monetization and blocked, prevent from seeing worldwide. How do you tackle that problem? Yeah,
I don't think we have an answer to that at the moment. I think on SoundCloud it's fine.
Yeah.
I think
if YouTube take down, just let it take down.
Yeah. We haven't got time.
Right.
We haven't got time to negotiate with YouTube.
Yeah.
We've got no say. We'll just put the music up, and we'll put the music on some platform, and then we'll figure that out in the future. And we'll just keep releasing 2 a week. I'm more concerned about have we got DJs in the room? Have we got a good system behind this? And then like this is, I guess, some of the things we're talking about are like special projects that we need to fix as a team in the future.
Yeah.
So we're thinking about this like, okay, what happens if we host the content somewhere else? Because I think like Twitch is getting good at this. What happens if we talk to some people that we know at like other platforms? So whether it's let's just say other digital platforms who do this, and like how do Boiler Room release on Apple Music, or how does like let's say Her Berlin do, like how does it benefit from hosting its own content on its own website? What are the guys doing at Lot Radio? How do they get around it? What's NTS doing? So that like I don't know anything about that. So we're just gonna go and find out in the future. And then we'll make some decisions. So
that's true.
But we're self-funded. It costs a lot already, and it's a huge effort from the team. So I think as long as we're just getting the content out there, then I think we'll solve those problems by doing, rather than we are going to just like freak out and not doing anything.
Yeah. The decision paralysis is real, man. When you're running a company, there's so many variables that you cannot foresee, and even when it comes, like, okay, now what? You're just constantly figuring it out.
Yes. So that's the one thing that I would say for us is that it's just been it's great to have other people, because other people kind of stop you procrastinating.
Yes.
It's great that we all have some kind of common agreement around what we're trying to achieve, so we can all help each other and kind of make decisions. Like, okay, well, if we're going to release 2 episodes a week, then we have to release 2 episodes a week.
Yep.
And it's an expectation we set for ourselves, so we have to deliver on it. And then, okay, if we're going to go to 3 a week, we can't test out 3 a week, and then if it doesn't work, we don't do it again. Like, if we're going to do 3 a week, let's do 3 a week. And then what do we need to do to make that happen? So I think that those things I think are really good. Is like how do you put in the agreement with yourself? It's like going to the gym. I think that the thing that I'm really mindful of is that like consistency is how you build stuff.
Yes.
In anything, like the consistency with any habit and anything you do is always like a better payoff over the long term.
Yes.
So and that's really why we had some problems with the original radio, is that we just weren't very consistent. So like, okay, cool, like we found all this stuff out. We could just be like, oh, this sucks, we've failed, like we should go home and never do this again. Or we can go, oh, we've got a bunch of information, how do we do this more consistently?
Yeah.
And it's like all of our events. All of our events are serious. Whether or not people come to every one doesn't matter. But everyone sees every event, and everyone like comes to the events. So the things that I care about is, do we like, let's start these events.
Yep.
Let's learn as we go. And we've got two goals really with our events, is that if someone came, would they come back? And if they come back, would they come with a friend? And if the answer is yes to both of those, then we're going to grow. If the answer is no to both of those, then these events are going to slow down and die. So
you solve the problem.
Yeah. So, and just keep things really simple, like, and that helps us like manage stuff. So, like, have some simple things that we're aiming for at the moment. And that's why we don't run the radio show around views or anything like that. Like we honestly, like, we see them, but we don't measure our success. We don't measure who we book.
Yeah.
We don't tell the DJs what to play. We don't let it like affect our, how the team feels about themselves. If like, one episode gets like thousands of views and another one gets like 10, it doesn't matter. It's all music. It's all going to get listened to in the future. So that's all we care about.
Every piece of content that you put out, every event you run, right, is like one entry into the lottery at the end.
Yeah.
And if you can submit, 1,000 lottery, right, then the chances of winning is higher. Right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day. Yeah. But the problem, right, comes when you have to do so many iterations in order to improve, meaning to say you definitely need a lot of manpower.
Yeah.
So like, for example, right, for a small startup that you cannot afford to pay someone to do all the extra work, right? How do you inspire people to join you? Do you have any strategies?
Well, we do pay people.
Of course you guys do. Right? But then for smaller companies that cannot afford to, right?
Yeah. So I think that we're slightly different. Is that we decided to make this our job. So so Andy and I invested quite a lot into this business. And then we also invested into the business model to support it. So it's not perfect by any means. And we're still very small. We still, we still need to grow more to kind of sustain ourselves.
Yeah.
So we do get a lot of help, and I am grateful for everyone's support. I would say that if we were going to do it all again and we didn't have that, like, let's say we didn't have our corporate jobs to kind of fund some of that, I would just do what we see around us. So like, the Katong Laundry guys seem to be doing a great job.
Who?
I think it's called Katong Laundry.
Yeah.
So I would beg, borrow and steal like a space. But I wouldn't compromise on the heart of it. So if I was starting from scratch, I would find a place I could do something consistently, that looks fun in the background somehow, has like a striking look.
Right.
I would try and, borrow or buy, if I could afford it, some of the camera equipment. And I would just get my mates involved. And then in order for it to grow, I think you have to do something which both you love. So you have to love filming this stuff, or you have to love the music. So you have to have your core things that keep you going, even when it's difficult.
Yes.
And then I would figure out a way to make other people look good, or make it easy for other people. We would not be where we were today if it was just like me recording the music I like, putting it out. Like I might have more DJ gigs, but it wouldn't be this like community project that everyone is like supporting and sharing and helping to grow. So like if you want to make a platform like ours, you got to kind of do stuff for other people, like solve some of their problems, make it easy for them to work with. So work with you. Sorry. So that's how I do it. So I think the thing that a lot of people don't like hearing about that is you've got to be disciplined. Yes. Ultimately, you've got to really work through some of the difficult stuff. And I know that there's this whole like tension around like do what you love. I think where I land with that at the moment is like you do what you love because that will kind of keep you energized. But also doing what you love means that you can't walk away from it when it really sucks.
Yeah.
When you've spent everything on it and it's not going the way you want it to, you still have like, it's like a child, like you still come back to it and like take care of it because it's part of you. So like, I would also say to people like, kind of don't quit. Don't quit, and then we usually work out somehow.
Do what you love, man, but when it sucks, wow, it really sucks, man.
Yeah.
Because you have no escape anymore.
Yeah, no one's coming to save you.
Yeah.
But I also think that's a good thing. Like that, we're in that moment right now where there's a few things that are uncertain, just around like the building that we're in, some of the demands that are on us around like we've got some great things that are happening, like let's say around radio, some of our events. Some of our events are like not necessarily paused, but they've not been like relaunched. Like let's say like our morning party immersion, like the regular one, we were doing it at Potato Head, but we were in some quite like long negotiations with another venue. So there's just some things like that. Like you gotta like have a faith around this like bigger mission you're working on.
The roadblocks.
And then these smaller things just kind of figure themselves out.
When we first started this conversation, you were mentioning about like alcohol and the need for it was introduced because nightlife establishments require to make more revenue.
Yeah.
Right. But I think it kind of takes two hands to clap also. Like for example, if I want to sell, right, but there must be a willing party to buy, right?
Yeah.
So I think alcohol or drugs or whatever, right, is really partially an escape, right, for people that want to be seen in the scene.
Yeah.
And might not necessarily enjoy the environment.
I don't know.
Right?
I'm not in a lot of those environments. So like I get it. Like I understand from some venues I've been to where like you got bottle service, you got tables. It's about socializing. It's about people seeing you. Like maybe I put that more in like a kind of networking kind of bucket.
Yeah.
But I don't really go to those kind of places. And I know they serve a purpose, but that's not. One, like I just don't go out so much anymore.
Yes.
Secondly, we're involved in a lot of our operations. But then when I was younger and when I came to Singapore, I saw that a lot more than when I was in London.
Oh, actually.
But just in London, so in London, let's say like dance music culture is bigger.
Yes.
And that's what we love. Like me and my friends love that. Like we went to venues for music first.
That's so amazing.
So there's no bottle service in a
nightclub,
in a rave under London Bridge. It just don't get it.
Damn.
You might have some like drinks around a table in the DJ's green room, but I don't know. That's like, it's not really our culture. So I can't really speak to that too much. I don't want to criticize it because I don't understand it enough, but the culture that we come from is like underground dance music. So it's like people in a room listening to music. They care about who's DJing, how high quality the music is, and if their mates are there. That's all we used to care about.
The good old days, man.
Yeah.
I think it still exists in London now, right?
But it exists here.
Maybe just smaller quantity, population size maybe.
I think smaller quantity per genre. Yes. And for a while when I got here, I didn't really necessarily find a lot of what I like. It wasn't a like for like in terms of what I was into in London versus here.
Yeah.
But now, like, let's take the Four Floors party we did recently with Clement at Boat Key. So Sivanesh helped a lot for that one. And basically what we did was the whole idea of that concept, and maybe take a bit of a step back. We originally launched it in Club Street. We did like 3 versions in Club Street about a year ago, and then it grew and we were trying to figure out how to make it like bigger long term. So when I spoke to Clement, I was like, look, we need 4 venues. You're the only person that I know who's got 4 venues in one place. And he was up for it. And we did Eat Something downstairs. We did HQ upstairs in that building, and then we did Higher Ground next door. But basically, when we relaunched the concept, we really wanted to make it about a place where the scene gets together. So, like, you know, to take my point earlier, like maybe the individual house or progressive house or drum and bass or disco scenes are all smaller because of how many people are here. Like, it's still a big group of people when you add them all together. So I'm always really inspired by some of the bigger parties I've seen. Let's say Last Mile. Last Mile was great.
Yep.
We participated in Peace Out. I thought Peace Out was great. So we're like, okay, well, what if 4 Floors becomes this like meetup for everyone, but we have different rooms like hosted by different people. So the big learning we had from the first 4 Floors is like booking 11 DJs. You might not always get the flow right. Whereas if you have 4 rooms and you book 4 crews, then the crews know each other. And what I really like about that is like the crews will show up for their friends, but also they'll like wandering around to other rooms. So the thing that I would say is that moment that we had in HQ, like everyone loved it because we had some people who would join the disco room upstairs and then maybe go into the rooftop room and then they end up at HQ. But like the room at HQ reminded me of like being in London because you didn't just have the people who like, because for me, like these days I see like HQ as quite a like techno orientated club, which comes with a certain culture, certain vibe, certain type of people, certain dress, like how people dress. Whereas the HQ on that night, it was just like rammed, like until 4 a.m. Everyone was dressed differently. It was kind of this like, like I said, remind me of London. Like you got like different types of people hanging out, and then everyone loved it. So I'm more interested in that, like breaking the these kind of cliques that happen over time. Like sometimes it's by design and sometimes it's accidental. Right. So, and because we have our own venue and we grew up here as a venue working with everyone, we kind of like know everyone. So I don't look at this going like, oh, well, I like this kind of house music. So if you like that kind of house music, then we're enemies, right? I look at everyone. I'm like, well, I'm a music fan first, so I kind of love most genres of music. Yep. And I like all these people, and I want to hang out with them more. And I just like variety. So it was great to like get to know the Revision guys, the Super Enjoy guys, Darker Than Wax, and Strange Weather, and we've done stuff with Manifest and Groove Top. Like, so these are all my mates. So I find it really funny when I'm like, oh, do you know so-and-so? And they're like, no, like what kind of different types of music? And I'm like, oh, so they didn't get to hang out. So I find it really funny. Like, so I think one of our jobs as a kind of
unite all the collective
is well, just provide like things that everyone will like. I'm not trying to here be the UN, trying to like sign like peace treaties. But I do think it's fun getting everyone together. Yeah. And especially like not just the DJs and their kind of collective, but they're like friends as well. And that's, I don't know. That was one of the things I saw last year, so 2023 at Boiler Room. Yeah. Is like a lot of people who were coming out for the first time, or so there's something about this, like the core culture, their friends who maybe not in the music or in creative industries, but they're like, they go out to it. And there's this whole group of other people who will still come out to these events that none of us knows, that make these things like busy and they bring a different energy. So yeah, that's what I'm interested in. Those are the kind of events that we want to do more of.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe it's like an Asian thing, it's like, hey, my house music's better than your house music kind of shit, Yeah. Yeah. But then, I realized that, right, this kind of community kind of stuff, right, that, what we are doing, what you are doing, what Groove Talk, everybody is doing, right? Yeah. It's actually more slanted towards the underground, if you realize. Yeah. Right. You don't really see like mainstream collective, maybe like 1 or 2 only, but the bulk is all underground. So I don't know what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that if you create like a community and you play mainstream music, will it gather people like underground music?
Yeah, I'm sure it will, but I think that underground music is necessary against mainstream music. So mainstream music
necessary against.
Yeah, so like if you listen to mainstream music, you don't need a crowd of people. You don't need to so you can go to like any mainstream place and have a good time. You don't need to like form bonds with people. You can go on holiday and go to like a mainstream DJ in a mainstream club. And there's enough people that maybe you do have, like, all your friends will say yes. Everyone will love the DJ. Everyone will like have a good time, and then everyone will go home and like listen to the same music on the radio.
Yeah.
So I think in that reason you don't need a community so much. So, but I think as soon as you're like, well, I really like let's say so for me, I grew up in quite a small town in the UK, like an hour and a half out of London. Like, so when you're growing up, you find out about all this music, but it's not in your hometown. You can't go and see these people. So you're like, okay, well, I really like this DJ, but it's not in my local nightclub.
Back then, no Spotify.
Yeah, I really like this genre, but not in my local town. So you're like, okay, I'm going to have to travel to it. So if you're going to travel somewhere, like, you're going to find other friends who want to travel with you. And that's how I think that when you have a common interest, then that's when the community starts to grow. And then you suddenly realize like, not only do we like this music, but we kind of share similar like views on like things, and maybe like we like this music because we're like alternative thinkers, and so you end up like, it's not just music, but maybe music is the initial one,
the catalyst.
Yeah, I think music for community building is like ultimately a great first step, but then there needs to be something else because if you don't vibe with people beyond the music, then you're not going to hang out with them. So I think all these like underground communities, like, yes, but it's a way so it's more, I think it's less about like being like an alternative lifestyle, stuff like that, but I think it's more in its purest. These people want to see something they can't, and then like by collectively getting together, they're more likely to support like bringing a DJ that they like, or going together to a music festival, or going to a town nearby if they live in a country where if you travel to different cities, you'll see different scenes. That's how I think of it. Because I don't know, like, it's not just like, oh, I'm suddenly underground and that changes who you are. You got to do stuff for a community.
Yeah, because okay, firstly, right, as a DJ for like 15 years, that DJing is literally my job, right?
Yeah.
From the time when I was like resident at Zouk. Even before that, I was resident at Canvas. Now it's called Iki Singapore. Yeah. So I've been just DJing my whole entire adult working life. And for me to realize that music is actually an accompaniment to the social setting, you know.
Yeah.
It's something that it's such a hard fact to accept, but it is a fact.
Yeah.
And thinking back to the early days when hip hop DJing was invented, like, I mean, DJing comes from hip hop, right? When guys were like mixing breaks and looping the breaks for the break dancers to dance. You know, it is a very like background behind the scenes thing. You know, back in the day, nobody wants to be a DJ because you'll be that nerd at the corner, just like obsessing over music and playing music. Hopefully people will dance without noticing that he's even there and get on with their social obligations, get together and party and hang out. And slowly boiler room kind of like glorify the DJ. Everybody's like surrounding the DJ, and now everybody wants to be a DJ, you know. But realistically, the DJ is not really doing much. Then slowly, I guess nowadays, right, people start to realize actually DJ is not doing much. Then clubbing is like also slowly going on a downhill. Don't you agree?
Well, there's a lot in there. So, what do I think? I think we think about this a lot in general because it's important for like, I think for me, I'm like a fan first. So maybe I'll answer it that way. So I'm a fan first of music. So I got into DJing by accident. So I basically DJ my record collection. So I'm not there to entertain people as such. And
you're a collector first.
A collector first. And if I look at the DJs that I love, so here's maybe the thing that I love. There's a Chilean DJ who's quite famous, like a guy called Ricardo Villalobos. So when me and my friends were starting to go out, let's say in Fabric in London, it'll be him. So it'll be Ricardo and Richie Horton. But they were very different. So Richie Horton was like all about having the custom mixers and all the electronics and like all the high tech stuff, like firing his Ableton and stuff like that. And then Ricardo would just play mainly vinyl and then some CDs. So I really liked him, like Ricardo, because he was more like, you could just see he's having a good time. He just wants to put on records that make him excited. So like, I thought that was a really pure experience because you get to see someone who is like, this is just a great record that I love. This is going to go off and I want to hear this record. And I love DJs like that because they're entertaining themselves. And then through the process of, because they are trusted by the audience to kind of take them on a journey.
Right.
So I like DJs like that. And the DJs that I like are the ones that, like, if you looked at some of the old clubs, so I really like looking at old, like, club history. Like, actually, DJs used to be in the corner. You never used to know where they are.
Correct.
And the dance floor was the main thing.
Yes.
And then the dancers were there, and the dancers didn't know who the DJs were. They didn't know which remixes there were. No track ID, and then no personalities. And actually, the DJs were kind of treated quite poorly by the venues.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like the dancing and like the quality of the music was more important. And then, like, I think in New York, like Paradise Garage, that kind of era, that's when the DJs started getting a bit more notoriety. But then also that's when it started mixing up in like culture, like fashion culture and celebrity culture, stuff like that. Not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just different. So that's how I see it. It's just different. But I would rather listen to a really solid DJ with kind of no name that I like than go and pay a bunch of money to go and see someone who's happened to have made like a famous track. But that's why I think it gets a bit dangerous, is that the great DJs know how to set the scene and make the party great and then like change the atmosphere. And it's not like pre-planned sets.
Yep.
So
it can't be, man.
No.
So difficult. Yeah.
No. And it's not about them, but it is about them like guiding you around music you haven't heard before. And I think that's maybe the difference for me around professional DJ. A professional DJ is not there to entertain you. A professional DJ is there to show you music you haven't and put it in a context like a curator, then in a context you've never heard. There's another DJ I love called Cassie. So Cassy. So she's spent a lot of time in London. Then she moved to Berlin. So she was playing like lots of like broken beat records with house and used to play these epically long sets at Panorama Bar, but she really knows music. So she'll be like, you might not think these two genres fit together, but I do. And so she'll go and mix stuff. And so I think that's what I think for me, like what DJs should be doing.
Yeah, that's so true. But to find a crowd that can appreciate this, especially in Singapore, is like uphill battle. It's definitely very tough.
Maybe. I think, but I also don't think that, I think it's almost like if you think of it that way, then it won't go anywhere. I think that if you love a certain type of music you don't hear out, you should just start playing it.
Yes.
And that's what we did.
Convert them.
And we did a night called Panoramic in January. And we were playing like a bunch of old house music and like techno, and it was a guy called Constantine who was here for a while studying at, I think it was at A-Star. There's a quite a famous writer called Michelle Luc, and her partner Ty was DJing, and then me, and just playing like loads of all vinyl. Like, we played all vinyl, and people were like, "What is this music?" But it was just a bunch of like weird dubby house music, techno music, a bit of like old like 90s kind of like rave kind of stuff. We had no plan, and it was like three of us like and we just played everything we wanted all night, and people loved it. So we're going to do that again. But the problem is we just have some problems with doing late night parties in our studio. So, and I haven't really had time to kind of do these more like self-indulgent club nights because we've just been running the business. So, but we're going to bring them back though. They're the most fun.
What do you think of the reopening of Print's work?
Well, I don't know. I've never been to Printworks.
What?
So, so here's what I've heard from my friends about Printworks is that because of that, how the space is organized, the acoustics aren't great. So I would hope. So I don't want to discourage anyone from going.
Printwork 2.0.
But let's say I went. I would love to go with that friend Steve, and I would love to ask him like what he thinks about the acoustics versus the old one. So for me, like, so because my friends told me like, it's like a club where it's more about the visuals and you have like a lot of this like afterlife stuff where it's really great on social media, but that's about the visuals. Like the clubs that I want to go to are more about the sound. So if you ask me like which clubs I'm more interested in, I really like Corsica Studios, which is in Elephant Castle. Like our sound configuration in our studio is based on going to Corsica Studios because they've got 4 speakers in each room, in each corner. So that's, for me, that's more for the dancers. Fabrics. I'm more excited about going to Fabric because they've got a new Martin Audio sound system. And Martin Audio is more like, it's more musical. So it's not as like, Function 1's quite like very loud, very consistent, kind of works forever. But Martin Audio is almost like a kind of like musical PA system. It's like, I don't know, somewhere between the clarity of Void and then the kind of toughness of a Function 1. So I've got different answers to that. I would go to Printworks, but I also think that their programming is more like big DJs, like things that I don't really follow so much.
More of a spectacle, less of music journey.
Just a complete different part of like dance music culture than where we're from. Like me and my friends, like we buy records from like unknown producers on white labels, and no one's ever gonna know where this like guy or girl like poured their heart out on making this track and putting it on vinyl. And they're just happy being a producer. Sometimes they might get some smaller gigs, but like those are people I really like. Versus like someone is like, it's like a Instagram reel. Like it's just different kind of vibe.
I come from a turntablism world. And I have like the appreciation for the Richie Hawtin crazy technical kind of thing, you know. But I can totally understand what you mean, man. By this guy is just playing vinyl and the look on his face, he just simply loves what he's playing. And he's so excited. Like you can tell from his face that, I can't wait to show you guys what's next. You know, that kind of feeling. And they're so genuine.
And they're but they're also not trying to please you. Like I think some of the great DJs I know are not afraid to get on after another DJ and then play something completely different and then watch half of the dance floor walk away. Like I really respect DJs like that because they know that they're going to play for 6 hours or whatever, and they know that they're just there to like do some great music, like play some great music, and they're like the ones that like have it like throw in like experimental tracks or like take people on a bit of a journey, or like things that they weren't expecting. They're not there like giving this audience of people who maybe probably know less than them about music like exactly what they want, because I don't know. I think if you just give people what they want, it's not as interesting.
I mean, they can get what they want on Spotify already, right? So you were saying that people were traveling to hear new sounds, right? But with Spotify, with YouTube, with TikTok, right? That doesn't have to be the case anymore. So what is the pull factor for people to come down to these sort of events?
I don't know. I think that I think you get to hear a lot of music that you would not find on Spotify or these platforms. So
events have to play unique sounds. They can't just play Spotify bangers to have the pool, right?
Yeah. So I think that look, if you went to the kind of DJs that I like, if you Shazammed every single track I don't think you're going to find it on. I don't think you're going to be able to download it for one, and I don't think you're going to be able to find it anywhere.
Yeah.
So I think I think it's pushing DJs in different areas.
Yeah.
So I think the great DJs I think are playing a lot of fresh music. I do tend to favor DJs who are producers. I think it's important you have your foot in both worlds, because if you're a producer and you don't DJ, then you don't know how your music sounds as much.
Yeah.
So my friend Ed, he will have like a few iterations of his tracks and he'll go and test them in different clubs and different sound systems, and he'll feel like what the bass response is in a Panorama bar. Panorama bar is an insane place. And you're going to have people who are like the biggest fans of that music, as well as in some like, he plays in some really cool venues around Europe where it's almost like a kind of audiophile sound system, but it's a nightclub. So I think it's great. So I think DJs need to play this music as like a tool. So I think it's good when you go to these venues and the DJs are playing like completely unfinished works in progress. I think that's really interesting. And then maybe music they're given. So like they also got like this group of artists who are producers who are giving to them that they're giving feedback to. So Ed has got a record label and he's constantly giving feedback to people, and maybe some things he's going to sign. So that nice variety, as well as like a DJ that's going to dig deep. So like, maybe you're going to get some old tracks that just never came out, or some things that like white labels, like promos that just were never released. So I think that's what you're going for, and you're going for the fact that a Spotify algorithm is never going to be a person. So like a DJ, the way that a DJ mixes, like their style, like sometimes on vinyl, the lack of precision, it makes it exciting. The way that they drop certain tracks. So I don't know. I think maybe the art and craft of the DJ world that I really like will never be replaced by that. Maybe some of the more like club DJs. So maybe some of the bigger world, like the people that I see, like maybe like a Tiesto, David Guetta, that kind of thing. But there's a completely different world, right? These are like people who are entertaining people in stadiums, and they're entertainers. I think those people still have problems. Like I saw something on David Guetta the other day, and he was like, he used to be an incredible Ibiza DJ.
Yeah.
He used to be the guy in the corner that no one knew, like entertaining everyone, and like he was hugely respected as this underground DJ. And then he's like, when he became like this celebrity, he lost his community, his like core crowd. So he was like, I don't really know how I feel about that anymore. He's like, I used to love being a DJ in Ibiza in like the 90s. And he's like, and I like being this global entertainer. But he's like, I can't be both. And you can kind of see he's a bit torn.
Yeah, that's why he created the Jack Bag, right? The alter ego. He has another alias.
Yeah, but I doubt that will be like, I think if you...
He's too famous already, right?
If you transported yourself to like the Ibiza dance floors that he played at in the 90s, you can't like just rename yourself now and like be that person. It's like Armand Van Helden. Like he's doing all these like things, but he can't be that DJ from the 90s.
Yeah.
Like there's like a completely like raw energy. So yeah, and that's why like I always have to tell people like that's the kind of thing that I like these kind of raw like DJs who like do it for the dancers. It's like that's the kind of energy that I try and follow.
Then going back to Wild Pearl, right? So Wild Pearl radio show events, right, are technically, I would say, like PR tools for the main business. But what is the main business model? Are you guys like a beverage company, or is there something even bigger?
So yeah, I think we're a few things, and we'll see where we go in the next year. Like there's a few bets we're placing. So I think what we're not is like, at the moment we're not one thing. We're not like a promoter.
Yes.
But we do nights. We're not a drinks company. We do drinks.
Yeah.
But I think maybe the best thing to think of is that in a year's time, like I would I would like almost like to flip things around a little bit, and I would like people to enjoy our drinks at different times of day, and I'd like people to get a real benefit from these products we're making.
Is it going to be called a Wild Pearl drink or a Boujee Botanicals drink?
At the moment, we're just calling it Wild Pearl Boujee Botanicals. We haven't got a name for it yet.
Okay.
At the moment, we're just respecting that it's kind of like a collaboration.
Yep.
But like let's say like one of like let's do like a bit of a moonshot like next year. Like we would love these drinks to kind of take off and people to enjoy them. Not just at Nightlife, but like day to day. Yeah, day to day.
Yeah.
And then we would love to be able to sponsor. We'd love to be able to just take risks on nights and just be able to book DJs because of this. You know, like Red Bull, because Red Bull, the way that they basically fund lots of stuff through their sales. So we would like to be able to take bigger risks on like DJ programming, support some of the local collectives with some of their work. I would love to do more of that, basically. So let's take yesterday when we were at Air. So we sponsored our DJs the Red Elixir because it's like the calming chill out one. And then next door there was a rooftop party, and Amanda from Rooftop also loves all these functional mushrooms as much as we do. So we gave their DJs a bunch of drinks, but it's just like to get it in people's hands and like give people like alternatives. So I just would love people to like experience these drinks at night during the day, and then let's see where it goes. So next year, like we still want to do radio, we still want to do nights, we still want to have these products, but it's more like this whole lifestyle piece where I just want people to know that we really care about them. We really care about our own health, and therefore we really care about like the health and wellness of our community, and that's it really.
Do you know about Bryan Johnson?
Yeah.
How well do you guys align with his philosophy on like don't die?
Okay. So yeah, we've been through a few iterations as a business. I think like where I land on this is like that's a very focused world of wellness.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, we do wellness activities like all the cold plunges and get people drinking jamu shots and all this kind of stuff. And it's all like science backed. So our Immersion party, the one we launched with Nick about a year ago, like I believe in this. Like if you curate the environment, then people get the benefit from it. So actually, like if you look at the world of wellness, like you've got Bryan Johnson over here, like trying to never die. Cool. But you've also got, I really like the whole thing around blue zones. So if you know about blue zones,
no.
So basically this guy from National Geographic was like going around the world, like just studying people who lived over 100.
Whoa, okay.
And he was like, okay, well, what's the commonality? It's like, okay, well, people who like in areas where you have an unusual number of people who live to be over 100, you just have some common features. Like maybe their village is built on a slight slope, so they're moving every day. Maybe their social circle is a bit tighter, so they see their friends a lot. And maybe they live in a multi-generational house. Maybe they eat closer to the natural state of food, so they do eat more plants and veggies, but also maybe their food, like their meat and everything, has not been super processed. It's from like the farm next door. They don't live a super high stress life, so they don't live in a massive city and like put themselves on this kind of like corporate treadmill. So I'm more interested by that. So like that was the blueprint for our Immersion party. Yeah. So that's the kind of blueprint for our whole company. Like I don't want this company to be like stressing out our team or stressing me out, or like I want it to be like mission driven, where we all work really hard to like make stuff happen. But I don't want this like company to be like have like a bad reputation, or like I don't want to like not talking badly about some of these like soda companies, but I don't want to sell something which like negatively affects people's health if they have too many. So that's how I think of it. But it's not to live to be 200. I don't want to like be this like Bryan Johnson is like a very specific person in the world who is like this lighthouse of like, if you do all this stuff, you can never die. I'm more interested in like creativity, and I think like to be a creative person, it's kind of helpful to live a long time.
Yeah,
so
it's fun, man.
So you can go through a few iterations of like creating stuff and meeting people and changing your perspective and making things over a long period of time. And then the two perspectives I've got around that are, I really like club music, as you know, but I see like a lot of things these days where, like I'm not just calling out drum and bass, but I see it's more in like the world of drum and bass. Like a lot of like the drum and bass DJs or MCs over the last couple of years have been like passing away, like they're like 50s, right? And then I see like on the same radio, there's one radio show I listened to in the UK where like the jazz, they did do these obituaries for like jazz musicians, and they're all like dying in their like 80s, 100s. So I'm like, well, isn't this weird?
What's the difference?
You got drum bass DJs and you've got jazz musicians, and maybe the drum bass DJs like, and I don't know this for sure, and I'm not trying to like judge people for their choices, but I had this feeling that if I was a drum and bass DJ growing up in the 90s and 2000s, I wouldn't live a very healthy life. But if I was a jazz musician, then maybe that skews me to this different set of behaviors. So like I'm thinking about this, like if the World Pole had one mission, is like to create environments where maybe you could be a drum and bass DJ that lives to be 100. Like that, and that's quite like a fun thing for us to think of. Like if you are a jazz musician and you make 80 albums in your lifetime, just think of that incredible collection of music and all that knowledge in you. Whereas if you only live to be 50, then you kind of cut yourself short. So just imagine if you're like a dance music producer or DJ, what happens if you live to be a long time? Like you're going to make better music. And that's what I kind of care about. Like, because I'm a fan, I want to hear this music from these DJs and producers. And I want to see what happens when they collaborate with the next generation. I want to see the knowledge passed on. Like, here's how you make a techno kick drum. Here's how you splice up a break for jungle. And then here's why it works. Like, I think that's really interesting. So I think people like, let's say Carl Cox, it's like 60s, Goldie, lives in Thailand.
Solomon.
Yeah, does, Goldie's like a great...
Goldie's drum and bass, right?
Drum and bass, but he's like, at least when I checked that in London, he owned like a hot yoga studio and stuff like that. Yeah.
Damn.
So, but you got these people where like, what I'm hoping that we can create is this platform where you know that as a creative person, you don't have to sacrifice your health to pursue your passion. But I think at the moment, like the whole environment around like dance music culture, it can lead you astray.
Yeah.
So like I drink coffee. Like that's my vice, right?
Is vice made coffee?
I don't know, but everything else, like, so I'm this kind of weird person, like gets to bed early, doesn't drink, don't do any like mind altering substances.
Yeah.
But I listen to all this music, and that's my choice at the moment, and I'm not judging anyone else. But I can tell people like I have a great time. When I do need to stay up until 4 a.m., we drink these teas. It's great. So I'm like, there is an alternative, but you have to go out and find it.
Right.
And I think that a lot of people I know, like, you kind of have to feel the pain to want to make those changes. So like there's lots of DJs I know at the moment who are enjoying playing at our morning parties, or like maybe they don't want to go out so late, or they're like starting to question like, oh, I work at this venue and I have to work until 2 a.m. It's not good for my health. So I think a lot of people are aware of it. They just don't know how to change some of these. They don't know how to change their environment.
What do you think of nootropics? Have you experimented with it or done any research on that?
Well, that's what's in some of our drinks. So we've got all these like different adaptogenic mushrooms.
It's only in the mushroom tea, right? Or in all the beverage?
No, we've only got tea-based drinks.
Right.
So I don't know. I think that I'm not a scientist. I'm kind of coming at this from listen to a lot of podcasts, and I think that these things, they're not they don't come without consequences. And so here's the thing, like, I don't think you could just take endless amounts of like lion's mane and cordyceps and things like that, and there's no consequences. It's like coffee. Yeah. Like, you can't drink endless amounts of coffee without having
the jitters.
Yeah. So I think that what I would say to anyone getting into this is that there's a bunch of substances which aren't alcohol, aren't caffeine, that are all legal. And a lot of them have had like a lot of testing done on them in terms of this is what it does to your ability, like so cordyceps, right? Helps your blood absorb more oxygen. That's great if you're a dancer. You can dance like longer. Yeah. A lot of people are using it for running long distances. But I just think that if I was going to give some people some advice, I'd be like, well, what are you trying to like optimize for? And then do some research. And there's like these websites where they catalog all of these different ingredients or substances or whatever you want to call them, and they will tell you like the effects. So that's basically what Brendan and I did. We were like, okay, well, if the energy drink we want, what does a DJ need? The DJ needs energy, so to feel awake at night, and they need to focus. Because if you have caffeine and you try and DJ, you kind of feels really weird. So you have the upper, which is the cordyceps, and you have the focus, which is the lion's mane. I was like, that's a really nice combination for DJing. But also a really nice combination if you're a dancer.
On the dance floor. Because
you can kind of dance all night long and you're hydrated. So I think it's fun. Like, I think I would just encourage people to do their research, also know themselves. And then if they have any questions, like talk to like an expert, and that expert is not me. But we do use the ingredients we do use for our drinks are like the highest quality we can find. And, we are testing it ourselves. And then we'll go through whatever process we need to before, let's say, we sell them en masse. But the reason why we only kind of give them to like certain friends is because they're so fresh that we can't can them. If you start canning them, the potency of the ingredients goes down. We can't pasteurize them. We can't filter them or put them in like traditional ways of serving drinks. So we literally have to make them 2 days in advance, 1 day in advance to give to people. So maybe we'll kind of figure some stuff out around that. But I would also say nootropics, like if I was going to give some people some advice is, just come, do your research, buy the ones that you think are going to resonate with you. Like do some self, test them on yourself. But I would just say like, I'm not here like advocating for anything. I'm like advocating for choices, basically.
Yeah. Like there is so many ways to party, right? Why not enjoy it in a way that the next day you can still be productive?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it will still allow you to party for many years to come.
Yeah, so that's how I started. So I started basically having a full-time job and then having the studio at the weekend, and I just had no time to be hungover. So it's not that I don't, I used to like having drinks with my friends. I've got a lot of friends who drink. We have a lot of our revenue from our business comes from alcohol sales. Yeah. So I'm not here to judge anyone. I do think that what I see as someone who doesn't drink in nightlife is now a lot of people message me. They're like, how do I stop drinking? Or how do I drink less? So I do know that like out there's a lot of people who maybe want to drink less or less often. So my advice to people is like, it is possible. And I don't know, maybe just like, this might sound weird, but like things you love, like just do them in like high quality. So instead of like get stressed on like a Tuesday with work and then like have some like poor quality, like cheap beers from like the local convenience store, maybe like
get some craft beer.
Yeah, maybe like just learn how to manage your emotions in the week and then like have some nice drinks where it's like really like about hanging out with your friends. I think if people can't like think about stopping drinking and doing what I've done, then just like do it in a really high quality way. Like see your friends, like find like some nice drinks which you'll really enjoy, and then I don't know, like do something like a cocktail making class, or like do something that's like more interesting, like rather than like the drinks just being something you just reach for because you want to get somewhere. Like try and like enjoy the moment a bit more, enjoy the company.
Yeah, then that is so true, man. Something that we are striving for, especially when I'm looking at so many clubs facing financial demise, right? I feel that really is the way to go right now. Yeah. It cannot just be about the music. It has to be more. It's about connecting for real.
Yeah.
And especially with like now everybody is so glued to their phones, right? When it's time to finally socialize, they cannot even put down their phones. It's so autopilot. In the club especially, you know.
Yeah, but I think it's coming. Like, I think these no phone dance floors are coming to Singapore. For sure.
How are we going to enforce that, right? So difficult.
Yeah, but I think it's more. I don't think it's necessarily about having more rules that are going to be like telling people what to do. I think it's more like I have this feeling where if you tell some people like, we want you guys to enjoy the night, we don't think that enjoying the night is about taking photos and having your flash on. This is our policy. And I think that a lot of people will be like, you know what, this is great. So when people tell me like, I'm going to open this place and we're going to have like no cameras in this room, I'm like, this sounds great. I'm down for it. And I bet you that there's a certain portion of people who are like, they're excited about going to a place where there's no phones on the dance floor. And then what you get is this kind of like, hopefully what you get is like more people enjoying it. So there'll be a weird moment. It's just like some of our parties. There'll be a weird moment where people are like, like they'll get their phone out with a flash and everyone's annoyed at them. Or people are like, I just want to take a picture of my favorite DJ, and they'll get annoyed with the venue. So there'll be like a bumpy period in the middle. But when it lands, I think what will happen is a bit like in these clubs in Berlin, like Panorama Bar. You can't take photos. But there's not like a bunch of DJs like throwing people out. There's a bunch of people who go there because they're not going to be have like a camera in their face.
Yeah.
The DJs love it more. And then for some reason, if someone does pull their phone out, people like the crowd self-police in like a really nice way. Like, dude, that's not what we do here.
Yeah.
Like, put your phone away, enjoy like the dancing. So like, I think that you need this kind of tension between like intention setting, like we think you guys have a better time with this, trust us. A little bit of like enforcing at the beginning, like people are not like positive representation, and then some people who are like, look, just don't do that. And then you have this like, once it's up and running, I think the word will spread like, this place is really cool and you don't need to take phones. And we're doing some of this stuff in our daytime programming where we're providing people with like Instax photos. So it's like more of like a core memory, so people get to take them home. But there's all this science around. Like I like going back to science. Like it's scientifically proven that you will have a better memory of an event if you don't take a photo. As soon as you take a photo, there's something about like, I'm not a scientist, I don't know, but there's something about this where like your memory is lesser if you take a photo. So all I want to do is I want to tell people this knowledge. Like I found this out.
Yeah.
So let me give you an Instax photo for free. You're going to put that on your fridge at home and you'll remember this night that we had together way better than like I'm not sure about how many photos you got on your phone. Maybe I've got like 10,000, 20,000, but like I don't scroll back and look at them.
Yeah.
For me, my process is very easy. It's like I take a photo. If it's useful for the business, I'll put it online. I'll tag my friends and that's it. And then maybe it's nice for us to have a photo archive, but I think the only people who should have a digital photo archive are people who like need to use it.
The editors lah.
Yeah. So I think that all those people who take photos of these nights out, like maybe think like how many times have you looked back at that photo that night or that venue, and maybe like just like have a thought like next time you go out, is it going to be better that you leave your phone in your pocket? Like maybe. And I don't know. I just want people to have a good time. I'm not going to tell people like to not do stuff, but I bet you that if these behaviors start coming into club culture here, I think it's going to be a positive.
Yeah, definitely. Like, firstly, people will be there because they want to be there.
Yeah.
They don't just go just so as to be seen, you know.
Yeah.
So the level of enjoyment will be more organic, more intrinsic, I would guess. And then your crowds will naturally be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also think that if you're in a club and you're bored and you want to reach for your phone, like that's okay. But I also would so some of the things that I've done in those moments is it's like led me somewhere really interesting. So I'll give you a good example. So we launched Immersion last September, so September 2023. September 2022, I was like 1 year into no drinking, and I did a party at our first small studio where everyone was drinking.
You quit like cold turkey.
Yeah.
Damn.
And it got to like midnight, and I was in our studio, so like my studio, like with my mates, playing the music I wanted to, and I was serving my friends drinks, so everyone had a good time. And I was like, you know what? I'm not enjoying this. So in that moment, I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm bored in my own place, in the place that I love, that I've made like everything really intentional about for me. And I was the one that had changed. But I was like, well, like, what's this telling me? So instead of like trying to distract myself, like pulling out my phone and going sitting outside or telling other people that they were boring, I was like, well, what's this like weird thing trying to tell me? And I just sat on it for a few days. And basically what it told me was like, I probably should go out less at night. There's probably a bunch of people who are more like me, who like still love music, but like I didn't want to ditch my friends, but there's probably some people that I should hang out with a bit more. And this is probably teaching me like I should probably go and build something for me, just like we built the original Pearl for us. So like this bored moment is teaching me that I need to go and build something else for me in this moment. So like the me in this moment in like September 2023 was like Immersion. I was like, okay, well, we're going to go and build a morning party because I like getting up in the morning. We're going to make it really health and wellness focused. We're going to play great music. And then therefore it has to be a sober party, but I don't want like a cheesy sober rave. And then like, I need to admit to myself that, in my life of like not drinking, it was maybe like 10% less like pumped than when I was drinking. So if you have like a shot, your dopamine spikes, like, or you drink a beer, your dopamine spikes. Like it's a fact. So if I don't drink, like I can't physically like spike my dopamine out of nowhere. I have to do something. Yeah. So you have to do like either do some breath work or like do something like physical, and that's when I was like, you know what, like let's do these cold plunges, because a cold plunge actually beats alcohol hands down. So a cold plunge gives you a 300% spike in dopamine. Like if you look at the graph, it's like a solid bar for like 2 hours or 3 hours.
Wow! After you end.
Yeah. So if you do like a shot of like tequila, you'll get like the 250, 300% spike in dopamine, but then it goes down after 20 minutes. But then
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Oh, 20 minutes. Oh,
but then
damn.
if you do another beer or another shot, actually your spikes in dopamine diminish. So you can never get back to the first drink. Whereas a cold plunge, you stay like really steady. So you come to our immersion party, everyone's like pumped because of dopamine. If you try and you can't replicate that with alcohol. So it's a bit like having like electric cars versus petrol cars. They both exist for a reason, but the electric car has got like faster acceleration, and you can just never beat it. So like that's what these wellness parties are. Like they're kind of similar, but they're also completely different.
Yeah, you give people the high they need, right? But in an ethical and healthier way. Yeah. Wow, that's actually a pretty interesting fact.
And it's a free party. So like, it's a free party where like it's not messing up your schedule.
Yeah.
So like you can come to our parties on a Friday, and like let's hope we can get them relaunched soon. But I'm not competing with anyone. I'm not competing with any of my mates. All my mates and actually I think that this is what I'm saying a bit about earlier. If you come to our morning party on a Friday, it means you can't go out on a Thursday. But maybe that party that you went onto on a Thursday was your kind of like one you didn't really need to go to. Maybe the ones you were looking forward to were the ones that were happening at the weekend. So like actually like because you're going to have to wake up at like 5:30 or like 6 a.m. to come to our party, you can't go out on the Thursday. You have the most amazing morning, you feel really pumped. And then you've got all this energy, and then you're going to not have a hangover going into the weekend. So you're going to have like a better Saturday night. So that's what I like about this whole idea, is that it's not about doing one or the other. It's not about not going out or only doing wellness. It's about like, how do you optimize your lifestyle so you have like a better time? So like, it's a really nice like balance.
And then the last thing we can talk about is that cycling parties that you guys did.
Yeah.
That is freaking insane, I tell you. I remember you were mentioning in another interview or podcast, or I forget, was it Insta story? You're saying that, you know, by being in Singapore for so long, right, since like 2012 or something, you know how strict the government is on like this kind of things, right? And you were like, half of mine is like, man, the government's gonna like not allow it, but you know, somehow you guys managed to pull it off, right? Yeah. What's the difficulties in like creating all this and making it happen?
Well, I think that, and look, we're going to test out another one at this coming Sunday, called Camp Paso, which is in the Kyungsek area. I think that, and that one's no license. So like,
just wing it.
I don't necessarily think wing it. I think that the process of going through all the licensing, is like, might kill an idea.
Yes.
So I'm not saying like I'm above the law. I'm not saying like everyone should do this. And I'm not saying like we take on all these risks, because it's not good. You take on too many risks, it's not good for business.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's a certain amount of like tolerance in the system to try new things. You kind of got to do it in a certain way. So like when we do a new thing, it's like, it's kind of like not done before.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of difficult to explain to someone on a license, like what it is.
Yep.
And then like the risk is like the thing I have in my head is not what someone else has in their head. So the person giving out the license might think that 100 people on bikes with DJs playing music is bad for society. Yeah. So they might say no. So like this whole idea might never happen, because what the bias is in someone else's head, and my inability to communicate like, this is what it is and this is why it's good. Like, I've failed at it, so therefore that they're just going to know it. So I think that if we're sat here like 18 months after we launched Cargo Bike, I think most people that I would talk to think it's a great idea. It's healthy, it's really wholesome. We get people together, we play great music, and it's great for like the scene. It's good for multiple reasons. Like overall, it's been net positive.
Yeah, you're promoting dance music in public.
Yeah, overall, it's like net positive. We have a few people when we cycle past them like don't appreciate the noise, but we're gone in 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So I think that now, and we did do one that was licensed with Raffles Place Association, Lope Lab, recently, and we learned a bunch of things from that. So I think that what my advice to people is like, if you start small, and the thing that you're doing is not like, it's like for a positive benefit. Like, so the thing that the Cargo Bike is not like a late night, super loud party, which is in the streets, with a bunch of people drinking like that. So that is the kind of thing that for sure would never work. But our one is like all on the park connector. We're giving people free bikes from Any Wheel. We're encouraging people to bring water and helmets. We've already like scoped out the route, and then the one part these days that's a little bit that's where we have to cross a road. We've got a system to get people across the road safely. So like we're making all this effort to reduce the risk of like anyone hurting themselves. So like, because our number one intention is like everyone is safe, and everyone has a good time, then I think if you're an outside agency, so if I was URA or LTA, then I would hopefully look at us and go, you know what, these guys, like, their intention is good. And, you know, any time that we've done something where, let's say parties at the studio, like when the police did need to call us, they're like super nice. They're like, look, we know you guys mean well. We know we know that you're acting within the law. And then like, you know what, here's the thing that you need to watch out for. Like, you need to do this to be like 100% covered. And they're really nice about it. So what I don't want to be sat here is like, yes, we're a party promoter. Yes, we run this like dance music community, and yes, like this world has got like, let's say,
Negative connotations
in some respects.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not. So I would say, like, if you're trying to do something new, be careful about what you're doing. But if you're doing something that's like really pure, like, and has a good intention behind it, you should be fine. And especially if you're a Singapore citizen, then I would say take even more risks. Right? Because
are you Singapore citizen yet?
No, I'm a foreigner. I'm a foreigner. But my fiance is PR and is going through the process to become a citizen.
Whoa!
So
welcome.
yeah. So like, I'm going to be here for a while for sure.
Yeah.
But I would just say, like, so here's like the thing that I noticed. So my Singaporean friends, I've just come to understand from them that just from living here and growing up here and like being told certain things by, like, let's say, an establishment or people around them, that kind of discourages them to take risks.
Yeah.
I'm not telling people to do something that's stupid, but like, maybe there's a gap between the things that make sense not to do, and then the things that you could do for like benefit, like for community benefit. Maybe there's things that you could do that community benefit that you think are just like, I don't know, like you're not willing to take the risk. I would just tell people, like, take that risk as long as your like intentions are pure. Start small, and you could do something really fun. Like, let's take Zach, who runs Alt GPS. Like, he's done like with the people he knows. Like, he's done like recorded,
at the beach, right?
Yeah, recorded sessions on the beach, screening films, stuff like that. He's done some research around like what you can do in terms of number of people. So like, I think, like really wholesome, like community spirit kind of thing. We need more of that. So I would say, like, the thing I would love to see more of those events pop up, more things in public spaces. And like, again, like, people should do their homework and like call up a licensing office. But my theory is, like, as soon as you need to have like a license, you kind of need to know what it is. So, and I think that's the wrong way to work. I think that if you've got like a small little like crack of sunlight that you want to go and pursue, go and do that. Start really small. Do the kind of smallest version of it you can do. And like, just to kind of come back to your question about the cargo bike, no one sees the first few cargo bikes that we did. We did it with like, we bought the cargo bike from my friend's neighbor. We had one speaker on a tripod. We didn't even have a seat. No DJ console, nothing. We measured all of the parts around the route that we were going to do to make sure the cargo bike would fit. So we did our preparation, and then we had like 8 friends show up for the first one. And then we didn't make any money out of it or put any pressure to make any money out of it until like a year in. And only now, like, we barely can pay for the DJ costs. And we
cargo bike is monthly.
Yeah, monthly, and we can barely cover the costs of like the repairs and stuff. So the only thing that I would say is, like, a year in, we suddenly had like a couple of Instagram reels pop, and that's just allowed us to mainly reduce the amount of money we're spending on the event. So like, we've got the repairs covered by Bike Hero, we've got the bikes covered by AnyWheel, Chimmies pay for the DJs, and
Chimichanga.
Yeah. Pay for the DJs, and we also send a bunch of customers to them. So, you know, but only like, so this is what I would say, like, you only find out the business model and you only find out how to do these things by doing them. If I planned it from the beginning and I'll be like, oh, we're going to do viral social media and then we're going to like invite all these bars to support us, and like, no one cares. Like, people only care after you've built it and after it's valuable to them. Like, you know, like, I wouldn't expect Chimmies to, like, if I just showed up with a YouTube video of someone doing this overseas and be like, I want to do this, can you give me some money? And they'll be like, no. Like, only after we've given them a certain number of sales and a certain amount of like social media representation, and we work to kind of a schedule which works for them. Sometimes we program events where they're like, actually, we've got Day of the Dead, like, can we do something in November? And we're like, cool, this sounds fun.
Yep.
So yeah, I'd always say, like, do it for you, as a person creating the event, then find a bunch of people who are down for the mission, and then just get started.
Great conversation. I can't wait to do some stuff and go to more of your events. Immersion, Cargo Bike, and many more to come.
Definitely. Well, I'm not sure when this is coming out, but there's one that we're doing, which is hopefully this new series called Camp Paso. So for us, like a camp is like kind of temporary community, and then Paso is like Malay for flower pot. So we're basically going to have all these like flower pots that we put in the street, a little bit like you might see in some of these areas, but we're going to start maybe putting them in boxes on wheels and start moving them around. And basically it's our answer to kind of doing these like more like alleyway activations. So can you clear up an alleyway? Can you put some shade over the top to make it more livable? Can you put some plants? So basically this is our next phase of like taking over physical spaces, but instead of just doing a pop-up party or a party in a licensed venue, we're hoping that we're going to start to be able to have more of these like spaces that maybe at the weekend you can go to one of these areas that we've done up, and you can go and hang out and have coffee in like the Gyeongsek area. Like sit down next to some plants, like under some shade. You know, the oxygen level will be higher, the temperature will be lower because of the shade. People hopefully will look after those side streets because they want to, and people like litter less. And then hopefully we can expand this concept over time to make more of these livable spaces.
Wow, it's such a grand mission, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of Red Bull, you know, like obviously selling the drinks is the main idea, right?
Yeah.
But they don't, hey, here's Red Bull and how good is the ingredients, you know, they just show you a bunch of extreme sport videos and inspire you to like, wow, if I want to be like them, I should drink Red Bull, you know, something like that.
Yeah, we would just hope people like know that we want to occupy these nice spaces. Like I don't want to just have to go to like expensive restaurants or the zoo or whatever like the weekend. Like I want people to know that they can like re-inhabit their neighborhoods, basically, and their neighborhoods belong to them. And like the back alley is like maybe not very nice at the moment, but with a bit of effort, I think that a bit of this kind of community action that people that we can enjoy these spaces more often, and then we're going to do a big event, like a proper licensed event, like they used to do with the Gyeongseok street closures. Then we've already got some of the materials already there, and we can, I guess, kind of create these kind of bigger pop-ups as well. So like that's the idea, is that, you know, we just want to have more spaces where people can hang out. You can build these communities, and then it's like a healthier living space like that. That's just the goal. I think that a lot of people will benefit from that if they want to kind of come along for the mission. And if people want to get involved, then, you know, there's lots of opportunities to collaborate, lots of opportunities to volunteer. But like those things should be like, those things will guarantee people that they're going to have a better time. And I don't know, like hopefully people see the benefit. If it's not just us wanting some free labor. If you volunteer, you might like, so some of the people that we've had like volunteer at our events have become DJs. And then we put them on our radio show. It's not even like that transactional. Sometimes people come to our events, they volunteer, and they just feel better that day. You know, like there's something about like people, like when we help each other, like our whole like chemical systems is based on like rewarding us for helping each other. So the more like we take care of each other, the better we'll feel.
Yeah, I was thinking about a point, but I kind of forget what it was already. But I guess it's like the natural way of like boosting your dopamines, boosting your serotonin levels. Don't rely on alcohols and chemicals. A little bit more longevity.
There's a space for everything, but I would just say like there's a lot to be said for like sitting in some of these more difficult moments. And that's our whole thing about our name. It's like a wild pearl. It's like the actual forming of a pearl is like in the shell of like the actual creature. If like a foreign object gets in, like a piece of sand or something, then basically like the mucus wraps around it, protecting the actual living creature, and then the mucus slowly builds up, and that becomes a pearl. So the pearl is a beautiful object to some people, and then to some other people, it's like it's the reaction to something bad. So like that's for us, like that was the reason why we call ourselves Wild Pearl. It's like it was a reaction to something really bad, and it became something beautiful. So like that's what I love, this kind of idea that in a really bad moment, like maybe you're bored, maybe like something bad's happened to you, maybe you're not happy about the music around you, maybe you're not happy about how you feel physically because of like your lifestyle. Like you can either like dwell on that, or you can like really lean into it and go, okay, well, what am I going to do about it? And you can make something hugely positive happen, the complete opposite reaction. And it kind of depends on like your outlook, right? Your outlook. And I would just say this: we're not trying to be like just completely mindlessly positive. Like there's a lot of things that are really terrible in this world that really suck and that are really affecting a lot of people at the moment. At the same time, there's something you can do about it. And if you just spend some time thinking what that was, you can definitely feel better a lot quicker, and you can definitely feel like you're making an impact, even if the thing that is making you feel down is a long way away. Even if you feel very small, even if you feel very out of control, you can definitely do something to kind of change your mood and your ability to make a positive impact.
Yeah, that's true. I really like the part where you are saying that you are in your own space, and then suddenly you start having the urge to take out your phone because you're bored, and then you just decide to go and do something about it. Yeah, I think that's an approach that if everybody can take, right, I guess there will be less need for vices, I guess.
Yeah.
And also another point that you mentioned, right, was that seek forgiveness instead of permission.
Yeah.
It's much better, right? So I think the government is trying to make the country a better place, but the government realistically can only do so much. They are not like some all-seeing God, right? But if every one of us can have that mentality where we can kind of like, how about we do this, and we can kind of like level up the scene, the community, eventually the country, right? Towards a better way, with the core principle of having good intentions, right? If it's not breaking the law, I think that's definitely a step up for the country, eventually humanity. If you want to go to that level.
Yeah, totally. So you can start really small, like just taking care of yourself, just taking care of like your mates. And I would love to see what happens when, like I would love for us to inspire like one person from this chat. And if one person like is looking at this and they don't know where to start, they can always just ping us on Instagram. But I think there's like a lot of people who know, everyone knows what they like doing. Just do it more often. And everyone knows like what makes us feel good. Just do it more often. And if there's something that gets in the way of that, then I don't know, like try and find some help to get it done.
Yeah, because if it's a problem that I face, right, but maybe for you, right, you have already solved it before in a part of your life, right, then you can help me very easily, vice versa, And a problem for me might not be a problem for you, vice versa. And then teamwork, man, makes the dream work.
Yeah, there's that and that's been a big thing for us. There's always someone out there who loves the thing that you hate the most.
Yeah.
And I just think that when you're in your own head, it's very difficult to see that. But that I guarantee you, like, let's say I hate editing video, man. Somebody come and help me edit this podcast. Yeah, exactly. but exactly. But I honestly think that if you the more like you get to know the things that you do, the more likely you are to find someone who like that's how you define your problem. Because like for me, like I love radio, but I'm the wrong person to run our radio show. I love helping the team like make radio better. But so like the good thing is like because I've gone really deep into radio, I'm like I just want to do this bit. And I'm like, but because I can define what I like, I can define what I don't like, and because I really understand that, then I can go, I need someone who can do this, and this, and we need someone in the team who can do this, and then we can all get together and make it happen. And that's why, that's why when Jen and I ran radio, it was great because we found out everything about it. And then when we had Effie doing graphics, it was great because we could promote it really well. And then like when we hit all these problems, we were like, we could define the problem really well. And that's how Leland fit fitted so well. And now like the team is going through a new iteration around like how we work together, just because it's getting bigger. So I think it's just like, it's so cool to see.